Hey, Dave Rother here, and in this video I'm going to show you how cultural cartography can get more eyes on your product, more eyes on your checkout page, more customers, more engagement, more of everything that you want as a business owner on the internet. Now, cultural cartography is a term which I can't take ownership of. This is actually something which BuzzFeed came up with. And cartography essentially means creating maps. It's the art of creating maps, which is what inspired this photorealistic image of the globe up here, which is so realistic I'm slightly concerned that it's going to feed the flat earth conspiracists, but I mean, so be it. Cultural cartography essentially is the map making of culture. So this is what BuzzFeed put together to explain the kinds of content and map out the content which gets engagement online. Now, obviously, they haven't released their entire map, but they did release a chunk of it. One of their senior content producers, called Dow Nugent, actually released a video on how they actually map out content and how they've analyzed content over the years to figure out what works and categorized it into different categories to feed content every single day. So this is how every single day when they create content, they sit down and they look at their maps and they think, right, okay, cool. So these are the subject matter. This is the style. These are the frameworks that work to create content that gets shared. And that is, why would you try anything else, right? Okay, so if you know that it works already, this is what they do time and time again every single day. So out of the elements of the maps which they released, I've kind of broken it down into 9 different sections, and I'm going to go through a few of those sections today, and you're going to start to see how they relate back to the things that we've spoken about in the previous videos, and how they basically all come down to they can all be tied back to the 8 viral trigger points that we've been speaking about time and time again throughout these videos. So the first one is humor. Makes me laugh. So humour is something that we've spoken about a few times already, and humour is one of those things that people can really get behind, really share, because if you remember the question that people ask before they share something, it's how does this make me look? How does it make me look to share this content? Do I look cool? Does it make me look smart? Does it make me look funny? And if the answer is yes, then they're very likely to share it. People like sharing amusing content because they take ownership of it, and it's as if they're the joke teller themselves. So that's the first section, the first principle, and within that they've got lots of different frameworks, which I'm going to go into at various stages throughout these different videos. So the next one is, this is me. So again, this can be tied back to ownership, to social currency. So how does this make me look? This is me, this represents me, and therefore by sharing it, it's kind of helping me do a job of representing who I am. People want to express themselves, and kind of, as absurd as this sounds, sharing content is a way of doing that. Sharing content is a way of showing other people who they are, what represents them. You know, a really important one, which is becoming more and more relevant every single day, is environmental sustainability. This is a really big point of virality and gets a lot of uplift recently because people feel passionate about environmental stability, and it's something that they want to take ownership of and tell other people, look at me, I'm conscientious, this is what I consider, which is great, right? It's one of the fantastic things about the internet, that people can share positive messages and encourage others to join them on a journey. So this is me is the second category, and you know, when you consider making content for yourself, the question that should drive, or one of the many questions that should drive you, is how can you help people take ownership and help people think about your content? This is me, this represents me, so that it helps them to share it. So the next one would be, this is us. So again, this is one of the key reasons that people share stuff is to build their relationship with other people. So if you share a piece of content to someone, if you think about the last piece of content that you shared, the likelihood is it was a very specific piece of content to a very specific person. I've got this kind of ongoing joke between myself and my girlfriend that our relationship is built upon memes, because we send each other memes all the time, and it's kind of a way of like just reminding each other that we're thinking about each other and reminding each other about our sense of humor and our in jokes. So in terms of like for you in a practical sense, how do you create content which people can use as a part of an ongoing conversation between themselves, something that represents them, something that represents their humor, things they've done, places they've been? This is us is the next number on the list of cultural cartography from BuzzFeed. The next one is WTF. So again, thinking back to the principles of virality, one of the big ones is remarkability. People don't share boring things. People do share stuff which is remarkable, things which are inexplainable, which are unusual, which engage shock and awe. So again, thinking back to pattern interrupt, all these principles start to kind of meld together, and you start to understand how they all work in conjunction with each other. Pattern interrupt, grabbing people's attention, showing them something which is awe-inspiring, which makes them think, what the hell, this is unusual, this is crazy, I need other people to know this, I need other people to see this, right? So WTF is the next one on the list. Number 5 is so true. Now, considering each of these, if you've followed BuzzFeed, or if you know BuzzFeed's content, or you know the type of content that, then so true would make sense to you. This is, it's really prevalent in the kind of content that they create. They're creating content which feeds into a conversation that other people are having. So one of the kind of guiding points between all of these that you'll start to see is that with every single point, they're trying to get themselves into an existing conversation. This is us, this is me, what the hell, so true, makes me laugh. They're trying to get in between people's conversations. They're trying to help people to share their content by creating stuff which is relevant to the conversations that they're already having. So true, again, falls under like being able to share to people and represent your point of view, and take ownership of that content. And every single time, just get that organic uplift of getting into people's conversations and talking about things which they're already talking about. Hopefully, you're starting to see some trends now. This is really starting to should be starting to chime off some ideas in your head. So number 6 is helps me or mine. So again, helps me. This is what we've spoken about in previous videos, practical value. Providing practical value. One of BuzzFeed's own channels, which we've spoken about, is BuzzFeed Nifty. How does this help me, and how does this help my friends, my family? So in terms of BuzzFeed Nifty, then it helps you around the house. It helps you with unusual things, remarkable things which are worth sharing, which you might not have thought about. Crafty, inventive things, like ways to use stuff that you've got lying around the house to do useful things. So helps me and helps mine is essentially their version of practical value. The next one, I can do this. So we've spoken about, when we spoke about emotion in one of the previous videos, we spoke about the emotion of awe and inspiration, and how this is one of the most powerful emotions that we can evoke in people, because people generally want to transcend themselves. People generally want to get better, become more effective, be better at what they do, develop themselves mentally, physically, spiritually, in terms of their work, their ability to do their work. People are always generally trying to move forward. 99.99% of us have a drive in us that we want to do better in life, become more, etc., progress. It's a natural edge as a human being, and it's what drives the entire civilization, right? But on a very personal level, creating content that helps people to be awe-inspired, to be confident in themselves, to evoke their sense of self-transcendence and betterment is a really powerful way of creating content. It's something which BuzzFeed really understand. Number 8 is curiosity. Now, you'll remember again that we've spoken about stuff like gap theory, about opening loops and not closing them. So intrigue, these kind of concepts. Curiosity is something which, once we spoke about, if you create a gap in somebody's knowledge, they naturally want that gap to be filled. They need to know the answer to the question. It's a natural human edge. It's going back to the kind of the lizard brain mentality of needing to have these open loops closed, these are questions answered. It's an itch that needs to be scratched. Curiosity is a really effective way, not just to get shares, but also to get engagement and to continue people down your sales process to becoming a customer as well. And then finally, I/we/you need this. So obviously, if you see something which a friend needs, then it's gonna trigger you to send it over to them and say, hey, you need this. This fulfills provides practical value. This particular product solves something which you need to solve. If we get very specific, people are far more likely to share specific stuff. So again, what we'll probably touch on the next video is how it's far easier to go viral within your own niche because people are far more likely to share stuff which is relevant to just a small group of people. Like, you're far more likely to share something. I always use a terrible example, and I need to actually set aside some time to to think of a better one. But in fact, let me think of it. Let me use a better one immediately on the fly. So the grilled cheese business which I had, people who if you know somebody that really likes cheese, you're far more likely to share a grilled cheese product with that person than with everybody else in the world. You're also far more likely to share that specifically to somebody than a generic subscription box, a generic food subscription box. When you niche down onto a very specific thing, then you're far more likely to pick up these shares of I, we, you need this. And again, just to kind of bring it all round full circle, every single one of these evokes these kind of concepts of getting into the conversation that people are already having. Every single one of these can be brought back to a conversation between people. So it makes me laugh. So that's going to evoke a conversation between people. They want to make somebody else laugh. They're going to share it to their friend because they want to take ownership of that joke and make them laugh. It's probably going to fall into helps me and mine as well, or I, we, you need this. The next concept, this is me, helps people represent themselves. They're going to send it to people, say, hey, this is me, this is what I do. Or this is what represents me. This is us. That's a direct conversation between two people right there. What the hell? So true. All these things are basically ways of getting into existing conversations that already happen between people. And this, if there's one thing to take away from this video today, is something to really consider is how do you get into an existing conversation? How do you make your business? How do you create content around your business that actually leverages the existing conversations that are going on between people? Because virality is essentially accessing conversations. It's accessing people's willingness to talk about you, to share you, and to get that organic uplift. It's essential to be able to do that.